Hey, this is FreeJayFly, and today my review is going to be about a personal favorite series of mine. That series is the Borderlands series. I know it's been a while since my last Borderlands 2 Let's Play, though that doesn't change the fact that I've beaten both main stories of the games with my fiancé and have the game at the very tippy top of my list of my all-time favorite video games. I know that this review is a little late, especially considering how long it's been out. Though, after having attended South by Southwest and previewing one of the new Vault Hunters for Borderlands 2 that will be later released, I couldn't help but to write this review. Let's start with the first Borderlands game. This is our introduction to Pandora with Lilith, Roland, Brick, and Mordecai. Let us not also forget having been introduced to some of the other iconic characters of Borderlands as well. Dr. Zed, Marcus, Scooter, TK, Tannis, Angel, and everyone's favorite robot, CO4-PTP, or better known as Claptrap. I don't like the little robot, but that's neither here nor there, really. You start off an adventure looking for something known as a vault, that is said to contain unfathomable riches. However, no one really knows what's in there because many vault hunters have died on their way to seek it out. Borderlands is an amazing blend of both a first-person shooter and a role-playing game. This is something that you don't get in many games that are out today. This was Gearbox's intention, and I certainly have to give them praise for managing to pull it off. Generally, it's one or the other, despite people that will argue that they get that in titles that I won't touch like Call of Duty. But, you know, to each their own. As great a game that Borderlands was made out to be, the first Borderlands lacked in a lot of categories as well. Categories that made it feel more like a first-person shooter more than its additional genre of a role-playing game. This was due to the fact that it seemed that the game revolved more around getting the Vault Hunters to the vault rather than also giving them more fleshed-out personalities and backstories as to why they were on this search for the vault. Unfortunately, this still actually happens in Borderlands 2, though not as severely. I think Gearbox also realized that the first Borderlands game lacked in story and tried to make up for it with the DLCs that they later released for the game. And to be honest, the DLCs were actually pretty kick-ass in my opinion. I especially enjoyed Claptrap's Revolution, mostly because I got to shoot multiples upon multiples of those annoying little robots. Moving on to the second Borderlands game, you're immediately met with having survived your trip to Pandora so that you can seek the vault because, unfortunately, Handsome Jack wants to kill all Vault Hunters so that he can have it for himself. Or so he wants you to believe. The characters that you start off with are Axton, Zero, Salvador, and Maya. Later, or if you pre-ordered the game, you got Gage, a cute and badass teenager, or presumed teenager, with her own personal death machine. All of the playable characters in Borderlands 2 come with their own pre-recorded journal entries that give you insight as to why your character is there. Now, I haven't played much as Salvador just yet, so I'm not too sure about his story. Though I'm sure that his is just as interesting or amusing as Maya, Axton, Zero's, and Gage's. I like this added feature to the Borderlands series since, in the first one, no one really got to learn about Lilith, Mordecai, Brick, and Roland. Other than that, Borderlands 2 had also introduced some pretty colorful new NPCs as well, such as Sir Hammerlock, Ellie, and Tiny Tina to name a few. I'm going to go ahead and talk about things from both games that I really enjoyed. For one, the intros to both the Borderlands games. I think that Marcus's starting it off as a story was pretty cool, though the introductions to the characters seemed a little cliche, not too much in the gaming sense, though more in as if you were watching a new show and they did those stop frame introductions before continuing on with the rest of the show. Though I think what made the intros were the songs that Gearbox used. Speaking of music, I'll be honest, a lot of the music from Borderlands, either one of them, didn't really stand out to me. In terms of music, the only ones that really stood out to me were Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant, Shortchange Hero by The Heavy, and of course the Borderlands 2 trailer theme, Doomsday by Nero. Aside from that, there are only two other themes that I liked because they stood out and actually made themselves known, and those would be the themes of when you did Moxxi's Underdome or for Fink's Slaughterhouse. Moving on to the guns. Borderlands is well known for the diversity in guns. Gearbox's take with the guns was amazing. I like the fact that there are so many different guns to choose from, guns that could be your boon or your bane. The way they look, the way they fire, the little added bonuses onto them, heck, there are probably so many different features for those guns that I could go on and on. Plus, there's always the manufacturer of the guns as well. Hyperion, Atlas, Malawan, Jacobs, SNS Munitions, Torque, Dahl, Tedior, Bandit, and Vladov to name a few. And they help you with what you're looking for in particular. Personally, I was a user of both Malawan and Hyperion weapons. Something else that I really enjoyed about both games were the boss battles. I'm not too terribly sure why. The beginning ones didn't pose too much of a challenge, and then when you got to the end of your first playthrough, it would take a while. Though perhaps that's the reason why. It promotes, group effort and playing with your friends to actually get through it. Other than boss battles, though, there were always the Varkids and the Goliaths in the second Borderlands game, which always gave me trouble. Though beating them always did give me a sense of self-satisfaction. Lastly, style. I adore the style that Borderlands was put into. It's like a comic book style that meshes well with the game environment. We get games like this from the classic Beautiful Joe or even from things like some of the Naruto games in a sense. However, none of those could compare to the other game that almost perfectly recreates the Borderlands game art style other than The Walking Dead. Aside from breaking away from the norm, the thick lines and 3D model dynamics give Borderlands a very aesthetic feel to them, especially in 2, where you have more scenery than just dirt, trash, and more dirt. And to end this video, and even though I am a little biased to the Borderlands series, I will be honest, and I say that Borderlands actually deserves probably about an 8.5 out of 10. Aside from that, I am looking very forward to the new Vault Hunter DLC that's coming out later this year. Thank you, Gearbox, for creating a game that I love. Keep it up. And to anyone who listened or watched this review, if you liked the video, please go ahead and check out my channel, watch some of my other reviews, or go ahead and check out some of my Let's Plays even. I will see you later. Thanks for watching.